All right, good morning, everybody. Wipe the sleepies from your eyes. Get ready to focus and write out the problems with me on a scratch piece of paper of your own. Get ready for lesson 14, missing numbers in a subtraction equation, or what I call Intro to Algebra Part 2. So, to start off right now, something kind of easy. Here it says the numbers in an addition fact can be reversed to form a subtraction fact. We know that from writing down our fact families, right? So let's take a look here. It says reverse the order of the numbers to change each subtraction equation into an addition equation. We normally read number sentences left to right, correct? So let's just reverse the order. Start off here, we have 22. And I'm going to change the subtraction equation into an addition equation. So I'm going to go plus 12. And we end up with equals 34, right? We've been practicing on that with our fact families for over a week now. Not too tough. We don't need scratch paper on this one. But we still have some people who seem to be having issues with equations. Again, you have to set them up horizontally. You have to show your steps. And the two rules for solving equations are always combine terms or isolate the variable. When you combine terms, you want to go and underline any two or more numbers on the same side of the equal sign. So here's our equal sign, right? I have 14 plus 11 plus h equals 76. Look on this side. Do I have two or more numbers I can combine? Yes, I do. I have 14 plus 11, correct? So when we go and read our equations, we read them left to right. So when I start reading my equation left to right, the first thing I run into is this set of combined terms. 14 plus 11. I don't want to go and write down 14 plus 11 again. Let's combine them. Let's write down what the answer is. This is where you need to be writing it out on a scratch piece of paper of your own. 14 plus 11 is 25. I did not underline that plus sign, so I'll just rewrite them. I did not underline that h, so I'm going to rewrite him. I didn't underline the equal sign, so I'm going to rewrite him. And I didn't underline 76, so I'll rewrite him. This is review, but I still have people out there who are not doing this and get confused. Your second step would be to isolate a variable. The letter is the variable. You want to get the variable by himself on one side of the equal sign in algebra. So we're telling everybody to circle everything except the variable on the same side of the equal sign and move it over to the other side. 25 and the plus wants to be isolated. Get him away from the letter. Kick him over to the other side. Again, when I read equations, I read left to right. But the first thing up was this 25 and the plus that we're kicking over to the other side. So let's write down everything that's not circled. I did not circle the h. I did not circle that equal sign. I did not circle 76. But I circled and kicked 25 and a plus sign, and I kicked it over to the other side. I kicked it so hard the plus sign broke and changed into a minus sign. And now I'm going to write my 25. Only two steps in algebra: combine terms or isolate the variable. We have to repeat if necessary. So let's check it out. Can I combine terms again? Yes, I can. I have 76 minus 25 on the same side of the equal sign, right? Let's go ahead and underline that. When I read equations, I read left to right. Start off by writing down everything that is not underlined. I did not underline H. I did not underline the equal sign. But I did underline and combine 76 minus 25. I don't want to write that over again. Let's just go ahead and write down what is 76 minus 25. Hopefully you know that would be 51. So the answer to our equation, H, is equal to 51. We first saw this on lesson 11. If you are having trouble with this, folks, you are going to have to go back to that lesson and go watch or rewind here, because you are going to have to show your steps. So that last part was review. Here is the new concepts. When you isolate a variable in a subtraction equation, you have two more things to concern yourself with. If the first term is the variable, change minus into plus. And what we mean by the first term, well, the first thing up in the equation. S is first, 13 is second, and 29 is the third term. If the first term is the variable, you have to go and change minus into a plus. Let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like. I did not circle the S. I did not circle the equal sign. I did not circle 29, but I did go and circle minus 13. If the first term is the letter, change the minus into a plus. So I'm going to end up with 29 plus 13, still doing the opposite sign. The first term in a subtraction equation has to be larger. So you would add. There is no way I can have a number here equaling S that's going to be smaller than 29, right? And this is found on page 88 of your book if you need to go back during the Socrative quiz. But here's where it's also a little bit different. When you isolate the variable in a subtraction equation, if the second term is the variable, put the larger number first and still subtract. Again, 29 would be the first term. Now S is your second term and 13 is your third term, right? So when it comes time to isolate the variable and I want to go and move it over to the other side, I'm going to start off. I did not circle S. I did not circle the equal sign, but the second term is the variable. I don't want to go and change it into plus. I want to put the larger number first. What's bigger, 29 or 13? I want to put 29 first because he is larger. 29 goes in first, still subtract, and then 13. Your second term in a subtraction equation has to be smaller than the first term. So whatever I have here has to be smaller than 29. Again, this is found on page 89 of your book when it's time for the Socrative quiz. So let's start off right now. Here I have 58 minus F equals 29. In a subtraction equation, you got to ask yourself, is the first term the variable or the second term? 58 is first, F is second. So it looks to me when I'm getting ready to go and isolate the variable, I want to write the larger number first and still subtract. Okay, do I got terms to combine to start off with? Looks like I don't. Let's get ready to go and isolate our variable right away. I'm going to circle this 58 and this minus sign, and I'm going to kick them over to the other side. Hopefully you are writing this down on your scratch piece of paper with me. Get ready to write down everything that's not circled. F is not circled. Equal sign is not circled. But the second term was the variable. So we got to make sure to write the larger number first and still subtract. So I'm going to write 58 first, still subtract, and now 29. Only two rules in algebra. Combine terms or isolate the variable. So let's take a look. Do I have terms to combine? Yes, I do. I can combine 58 minus 29 right there. Bring the answer straight down when it's time. We read equations left to right. Let's start off by writing down everything that's not underlined first. I did not underline the F. I did not underline that equal sign. But I did underline 58 minus 29. So maybe on a scratch piece of paper, you're going to have to set it up because you might not be able to do this all in your head, right? So on a scratch piece of paper somewhere, set up 58 minus 29. And I'm going to start off right now, 8 minus 9. I can't do it. I have to go over here and borrow. Borrow 1 from the 5. Place it in front of the 8. 18 minus 9. I can certainly do that, right? Now I can write down 9. 4 minus 2, that sounds like 2. So 58 minus 29, when I combine terms, F equals 29. And remember, if you're not sure, go ahead and plug in 29 in place of F. 58 minus 29 is 29, right? So again, on your scratch piece of paper, work this out with me. It's a subtraction equation, so the first thing I have to ask myself is the first term the variable or the second term? Q is first, 36 is second, 14 is third. So if Q is first, I'm just going to change minus into plus because the first term has to be largest, right? Let's get ready to go and isolate our variable, get the letter by himself. When we read equations, we read them left to right. So let's go ahead and write down everything that is not circled. I did not circle that Q. I did not circle that equal sign. But I am kicking 36 over to the other side. For addition, it really doesn't matter which one you put first, but if you just want to get in the habit with subtraction equations of always writing the other one first, you can go 36 plus 14. I could have wrote it as 14 plus 36, but is that going to go and change the answer at all? No, it would not have. So, two rules. Combine terms or isolate the variable. Here I have two terms I can combine on the same side of the equal sign. We read our equations left to right, so let's go ahead and write down everything that is not underlined. I did not underline Q. I did not underline equal sign, but I did underline 36 plus 14. So I don't want to write that down over again. Let's combine those terms and I end up with Q equals 50. Not too tough so far, just one extra little twist depending if the first term or the second term is the variable. Check out this one though. 42 plus 11 minus m equals 36. And you're going, Mr. Hines, there's 4 terms in this equation. So don't worry about it because obviously we have some terms to combine first. Don't worry about figuring out first term or second term until you're ready to isolate the variable, and we're not ready yet. We have to start off by combining 42 plus 11, right? I'm going to go and get my answer first. When we read equations, we read left to right. The first thing I run into is these two terms that I'm trying to combine. I don't want to write 42 plus 11 over again. Combine them. Write down what the answer is. In this case, 42 plus 11 would give us 53. Then write down everything else that's not underlined. I did not underline the minus. I did not underline that m. I did not underline that equal sign. And I did not underline that 36. Here is where we determine first term or second term when you're down to only 3 terms. So 53 is the first term. M, the variable, is your second term. 36 is the third term. The variable is the second term. So I want to write the larger number first and still subtract when it's time to isolate. So I want to go and isolate now. I want to get the variable m by himself. So I'm going to circle 53 and the minus sign, and I'm going to kick them over to the other side, right? So start off, we read equations left to right. Everything that's not circled, m is not circled, equal is not circled, but again, the second term is the variable, so we want to write the larger number first and still subtract. What's larger, 53 or 36? 53 is larger, so let's write down 53 first, still subtract, and then 36. So, only 2 jobs in algebra: combine terms or isolate a variable. I have terms to combine again. 53 minus 36, right? But again, we read equations left to right, so let's start off everything that's not underlined. I did not underline m. I did not underline that equal sign. But here, I have 53 minus 36. I'm underlining and combining them. Maybe you need to work it out on a scratch piece of paper. Start off 3 minus 6. I can't do it. I have to go to my neighbor and borrow one, right? So 5 is going to become 4. I bring 1 in front of 3, making them 13. 13 minus 6, hey, that's 7. 4 minus 3, that's 1. When you have to work it out on paper, do it away from the equation. Don't work it out right here. We want to keep everything nice, neat, and horizontal. So, I'm ready for it now though. M equals 17. And again, if you don't believe me, 42 plus 11 minus 17 is going to equal 36. Let's try another one here. I have 4 terms right now, so let's not worry about what first term and second term is. Worry about that when you're down to 3 terms. So I obviously have some combining to do, right? I have two numbers on the same side of the equal sign that I can combine, and here they are, 39 minus 6. Hopefully you are writing this down on your scratch piece of paper with me. So when we go and read equations, we read left to right, correct? So let's go ahead and write down everything that's not underlined. I did not underline P. I did not underline that minus sign. I did, however, underline and combine 39 minus 6. Well, let's go and combine it. I don't want to write this over again and waste pencil. Let's just go and write the answer. 39 minus 6, hey, that's 33. Go ahead and write down everything else that is not underlined. I did not underline the equal sign, and I did not underline 14. So now I got a basic three-term equation. P is my first term, 33 is my second term, and 14 is my third term. If the first term is the variable, change minus into plus. So I want to go and isolate my variable. I want to get the letter by himself. That's the whole point of algebra, is getting the letter by himself on one side of the equal sign. So let's get ready to rewrite. I did not circle my variable P. I did not circle equals, but I got minus 33, and if the first term is the variable, change minus into plus. So subtraction equations, I always get in the habit of always writing the big number first, because if it's an adding equation, it doesn't matter which goes first. If it's a subtraction equation, you have to get the larger number first. So I have P equals 33 plus 14. Let's go ahead and combine terms. I have 33 plus 14, and I'm going to go and combine those into an answer. Again, we read equations left to right, so let's start off with everything that is not underlined. I did not underline P. I did not underline the equal sign. I did, however, underline and combine 33 plus 14. 33 plus 14, hopefully you can maybe do that one mentally. That would be 47, right? P equals 47. So something a little bit different, but I guarantee you're going to see a problem like this today, and I want to make sure everybody's up to the task. In a class of 17 students, there are 9 boys. Do boys make up more or less than half the class? And explain your reasoning. So to start off with, you only got 2 ways of answering it. Either they are more than half the class, or they are less than half the class. And you're going to have to start off thinking about what half of 17 is. 17 is an odd number, so half of it won't be a whole number. Half of 17, let's think about it. Half of 16 is 8. So half of 17 would be 8 and 1/2, right? So let's take a look now. There's 9 boys. Half of 17 is 8.5. So is 9 more or less than 8.5? Well, 9 would certainly be more. But now, where it says explain your reasoning, you can put down something like half of 17 is 8.5. 9 boys is more than 8.5. So that, my friends, is the end. You are definitely going to want a scratch piece of paper and a pencil for the Socrative quiz. Remember, if you can't remember if the first term is the variable or the second term is the variable, you can also have your book out and it explains it on page 89 of your book. Go slow, go careful, and good luck.